Manny's a generational, talented fighter. Like, he's accomplished what no other fighter is ever going to accomplish.
You wanted to fight Manny Pacquiao. I think you were like 27, 28 when you wanted to fight Pac. Why didn't that fight happen?
Man, I hear so many excuses like they didn't want it. But Freddie Roach on the record saying he didn't want Pacquiao to fight.
In a fiery and unfiltered take, Terence "Bud" Crawford, widely hailed as one of the most complete boxers of this generation, offered a rare and impassioned reflection on Manny Pacquiao's recent training footage that has gone viral. And he didn't mince words. Most guys at that age are winding down, sipping coffee on the beach somewhere, maybe hitting the heavy bag just to stay in shape, Crawford said with a smirk. But Manny? He's in there like it's 2009, flying through those combos, pivoting like a phantom, exploding with power from those tree trunk calves. That's not just veteran muscle memory, that's a warrior still hunting. Crawford, who's built his own legend through surgical performances and dominant wins across multiple divisions, appeared genuinely awestruck by what he saw in the 46-year-old Filipino icon. He's not shadowboxing for nostalgia, Crawford continued. You look into his eyes, he's still got that switch flipped, that I'm coming to break you energy. And that doesn't come from age, that comes from something deeper, something most fighters never find. He paused, then added, you can't fake that kind of hunger. Not at 46. You either still want it or you don't.
First watched it, listening to the commentary, I was like, man, Pacquiao whooping him. You know what I mean? Why they cheat him? Because I wanted to fight Pacquiao because I was the next in line
of course.
To fight the champ.
And Manny? He still wants it bad. But in true Crawford fashion, the praise didn't come without a dose of cold truth. Let's be real here, he said. This ain't the same game it was a decade ago. These young killers, they ain't looking to touch gloves and swap jerseys. They're coming for scalps.
Pacquiao is going to return. What do you make of that?
I don't know. We shall see. I don't know.
Do you think he's too old at 46 to fight Barrios?
I can't say if he's too old.
And if Manny wants to jump back into the fire, he better be more than just in shape. He's got to be perfect. Not good. Perfect. Crawford made it clear that while he holds immense respect for what Pacquiao has accomplished, and what he continues to attempt, the sport doesn't care about past glories. Legacy is nice, he said. But right now, it's about who wants to impose their will. Tonight, history books don't throw punches, and nobody's going to slow down just because he's Manny Pacquiao. In fact, they'll try to go harder because he is Manny Pacquiao. When asked directly if he thought Pacquiao, now pushing toward a potential return to challenge for a world title, possibly against current WBC welterweight champion.
Top Rank wanted to protect Pacquiao because of the money issue. That was their cash cow.
Hey, but hell, you could have been the cash cow.
They don't think like that. So they didn't want to mess up the money that they was getting Pacquiao at the time. So other reasons.
Mario Barrios still had what it takes. Crawford's tone shifted into something calmer, something sharper. I don't know if he's too old, Crawford replied, his eyes narrowing. That's not for me or anybody else to say until he steps in the ring. If he shows up and handles business, people will change their tune real fast. Age don't matter when you're winning. It was a brief but telling comment. We shall see. No bravado, no mockery. Just a quiet nod of respect from one elite fighter to another. A recognition that in the unforgiving world of combat sports, greatness isn't defined by age, but by what you're still willing and able to give. Crawford wrapped things up by acknowledging what few fighters ever admit publicly, that watching a legend continue to grind long after most have hung up their gloves isn't just inspiring, it's a rare sight. That fire, that will to keep pushing when the world says you've already done enough, that's not normal, he said again. That's not something you coach or manufacture. That's what separates legends from everyone else. And whether he wins another belt or not, Manny Pacquiao already proved who he is. But if he's really coming back, if he's stepping in against real contenders, then he'd better be ready to go through hell again, because none of us are going to hand him anything. Not now. Not ever. Terence Crawford has never been one to toss around compliments lightly. But when the name Manny Pacquiao comes up, even Bud shows a different level of reverence. Man, I don't put no limit on an all-time great like Manny Pacquiao, Crawford said recently, his tone steady with respect and something close to admiration. Some guys, they don't operate by the same timeline as the rest of us. Crawford, himself a 3-division world champion and a pound-for-pound staple, understands what it means to chase greatness. So when he speaks about Pacquiao, it's not just respect, it's recognition. Recognition that fighters like Pacquiao break the mold. They defy age, logic, and even the politics of boxing. The fight that got away. On a recent episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, Crawford opened up about one of the biggest what-ifs of his career, a long-hoped-for showdown with Pacquiao that never materialized. That's a fight I wanted back in 2014. I was coming up strong and I was next in line, Crawford recalled. When Pacquiao fought Jeff Horn, I was actually rooting for Manny not just as a fan, but because I wanted that fight. That would have been huge, but it never happened. Despite both fighters being under the same promotional banner at the time, the stars and the contracts didn't align. I don't think he was interested, Crawford admitted. His team, his coach, they kept saying they didn't want that fight, and that's fine. I didn't take it personally, but yeah, it was frustrating. What's striking is the lack of bitterness in Crawford's voice. He doesn't dwell on what could have been. Instead, the near miss only deepened his appreciation for what Pacquiao did accomplish, becoming boxing's only 8-division world champion and defeating Keith Thurman at age 40 to claim another world title. Look, even if we never share the ring, I got nothing but love for what he did in this sport, Crawford said. He's one of the best to ever do it. Period. A new legacy looms. Crawford versus Canelo, official for September 13th. But as one chapter fades, another has begun to burn white hot. Crawford is now preparing for what many are calling the most ambitious challenge of his career and perhaps the most historic fight in modern boxing. It's official. Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez. Date, Saturday, September 13th, 2025. Location, Las Vegas, Nevada. Platform, streaming live exclusively on Netflix. Promoters Dana White and Turki Alalshik under the Riyadh season banner. Crawford, still undefeated, is making the bold leap up 2 full weight classes to challenge Canelo for the undisputed super middleweight crown at 168 pounds. It's a fight loaded with risk, legacy, and history. And it's being billed as a generational clash, the kind that could define the careers of both men. It's not about weight, it's about will, Crawford said in a recent media scrum. I know what I'm walking into, but I've always bet on me. The early buzz is electric. Crawford's first training clips have already gone viral, showcasing tight, compact combinations and surprising power at his new weight. Fans and analysts alike are split. Some praise his sharpness and adaptability, while others question whether the added bulk will dull his signature speed and reflexes, the very tools that have kept him untouched at lower divisions. But if there's one thing consistent about Crawford's approach, it's composure. Whether he's speaking about legends like Pacquiao or giants like Canelo, he doesn't waver. This sport isn't about fantasy matchups anymore, Crawford said. It's about the next moment. I always wanted that Pacquiao fight, yeah. But now, I've got the biggest fight of my life in front of me, and I'm ready to make history. Now, the spotlight has shifted. Crawford's vision is locked in. The man who once chased a shot at Pacquiao is now stepping into the biggest challenge of his own storied career, a fight that could cement his place among boxing's immortals. September 13th, 2025. Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez. The world will be watching. So will history.